Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on our webinar today. As always, if you have any questions, if anything comes up in the course of the webinar, please feel free to write it in the chat. We'll take questions at the end. We will also be sending a recording of this webinar after, as we always do. So if you sign up for the webinar, if you have to jump off, totally understand. We'll send you the recording afterwards via email. So my name is Victoria, and I am the head of customer support and onboarding at Punchpass. And today we're going to be talking to you about Punchpass by the numbers. We are going to be looking at some of the data about Punchpass users, all the different companies who work with Punchpass to offer classes, and some ideas about what might be a typical Punchpass user, what might be really popular settings and choices for people who are using the system. So let's jump into it. The first thing I wanted to mention is that obviously not everyone is going to line up perfectly with a typical Punchpass account user or a typical small business owner who is working with Punchpass. So these numbers aren't to make you feel like you're doing something wrong. You might have your own totally unique way and spin on using the system. So don't feel like you have to match all of these things. We just think it's kind of nice to get a feel for what our peers are doing, and and maybe there's something that we've missed or didn't know about that's really popular, and we might actually benefit from doing that as well. So that's really what we're going to be going over today, an idea about who's using Punchpass, what kind of businesses, what they might look like, as well as what kind of behavior is going on in the system. What are people doing for classes? What are customers interested in? And what are some common passes, memberships, and pricing along those lines, as well as maybe some features you might have overlooked. So we're going to go ahead and get started by looking at the kind of business that's going to be using Punchpass. So what do they look like? What are we seeing? What do we imagine when we think about a Punchpass user or business who's working with us? So when we're looking at our accounts and people using Punchpass, the about kind of mid-range, generally like the halfway point of Punchpass users, half have more and half have less. We're looking at 250 customers on their account. So that's what we're seeing is like what we might consider the typical Punchpass user might have around that number of customers. Their average group class attendance, their average number of people who are attending a group class and not a private session is at 8. So 8 attendees is about average for a Punchpass user. And the number of users, account users that they have. So this might be instructors or admin assistants, desk personnel is 5. And in the past year, they have on average seen 72 new customers get added to their account. So, this is where obviously, again, this number might not match up with what you're seeing, but we're just looking at some kind of mid-range numbers here and what might be typical for someone using Punchpass. The number of attendances that they've recorded is 1,472. So that's how many, not necessarily how many customers, but how many attendances have been processed in Punchpass in the past year on average. The number of passes that sort of the typical on average Punchpass user has sold in the past year is 319. And that also includes membership passes. And an estimate or an average of the pass sales revenue here is $22,801. So again, these numbers might not feel like they completely match what you're looking at, but just to kind of give you a sense of what maybe your competitors might look like, or the average business out there might be looking like. So this is what we pulled from our Punchpass data. It's kind of interesting to see kind of where you might see your own business or see yourself. Again, always taking comparisons with a grain of salt, but something to think about. Now, we also wanted to look at in addition to just, sizes and activity on the account, what types of businesses are really popular in Punchpass. So we looked at popular class offerings. So class types that seemed like the most popular, words kept coming up again and again in the name of classes being offered. So the first one, which might not be that big of a surprise, is yoga. This is definitely the largest cohort of classes, class types being offered on Punchpass, which is pretty popular. And followed by that is a more general fitness. So using the term fit in the class name to kind of identify that this is a fitness class, a general fitness class, is kind of the next most popular class type. Followed by meditation, which I think goes really in line with yoga and is likely, you're seeing a lot of overlap there. Then the next kind of big group represented in Punchpass in terms of courses being offered is Pilates. And this could be mat or reformer classes, but that's what we're seeing as we look at people who are using Punchpass and what they might be offering. And then the last group is dance. So this could be dance fitness, Zumba, partner dancing, choreographed dancing, a lot of different offerings under the sun there. Again, these are what we're seeing as like the most popular sort of typical Punchpass user, but you obviously might look a little different, feel a little different in terms of your course offerings and class offerings, which is great. The system can be used for a lot of different types. We're just kind of taking a look to see what's really popular, how the system is being used on a regular basis. So now we kind of want to look at, in addition to a little information about their business, how we're kind of diving into what they might be doing in Punchpass, what's popular in terms of setting choices, because, these are features that you might not have explored, or you might be thinking about, am I doing what I should, what I feel like makes the most sense for my business? And maybe it'll be cool to see, what our peers are sort of overwhelmingly choosing. So the first big setting that's very popular is restricting reservations to past credits. So 61% of Punchpass accounts are requiring an active pass to book a reservation into a class. So what will happen is if the customer doesn't have a credit on their account, they'll be prompted to purchase if they're signed up with Stripe. So you can see that below. That the system is promoting someone to make a purchase because they don't have enough credits on their account. And that is a very popular feature in the system. We have it as a default. So that might be something, if you haven't been using, might make your life a little bit easier. We also have an overwhelming percentage, 77% of Punchpass accounts are showing the number of spots left on their schedule. So this is a feature that you can turn off. It's also a feature that you can set a threshold for. So for instance, you might want to only show when there's a few spots left, but maybe not want to show when there's plenty of space. You can certainly make that adjustment in your account. But most people are showing the spots left, I think, again, to maybe hopefully encourage people to sign up, especially if it starts to look like there's not many spots left in the class. We've got 59% of Punchpass accounts are showing the length of time of the class on their schedule. So this is where you can show this class is an hour, this class is 2 hours. This is a short 15-minute special, kind of quick online class maybe. So, that length showing and displaying on the schedule might be more relevant for Punchpass accounts that have really different timeframes. If all of the classes are the same time frame, people might choose to turn off that feature. But it seems to still be pretty popular. We're also showing that 67% are enabling waivers and requiring those in order to book. So customers have to sign a waiver that you can add to the system, and they have to sign it in order to sign up for a class. So if they're going to click on a class they want to book, they'll be forced to sign it and say, sign off on the waiver, we're good with it, before they sign up for a class. So that seems to be a pretty popular feature, and definitely something to check out if you haven't. And then we also have a large number of Punchpass accounts who are requiring a login to book. So 68% of Punchpass accounts say you have to have an account, create a login, and you have to log in order to book, which is going to reduce a lot of things like duplicate accounts because people are constantly entering different email addresses. So this is going to be much more a little consistent here. And then we also have 43%, which is under half, but it's good to kind of note this, get a feel for what people are doing, are using the content library feature in Punchpass, which allows you to upload videos or upload PDF documents to an account. So that's definitely something that is a great little additional feature if you want to give people special access. Something to consider. We've done a number of webinars on our content library and doing online classes and recordings. So if that's something that you might be interested in, I would definitely recommend checking that out because you might have been missing out on this feature. You might not have explored exactly how it works, and that could be something you want to check out. But definitely what we're seeing is people are looking for some limitations and restrictions on reservations. They want to make sure they've paid ahead of time, they've signed the waiver, they've created an account login. Those seem like really popular features. People are using those. And then other things to kind of identify what is the class, how many people are booked in, how long is it? These are popular features, and kind of interesting to see that's pretty common across Punchpass accounts. So next I'm going to get into what class schedule looks like and really look at what are kind of popular choices. And popularity can reflect a couple different things. So we're going to first look at the scheduled class days. So what day of the week is the most popular for class times on a schedule? So basically these days have the most classes, and these days tend to have the least. And we'll take a look at that. So Tuesday, it's number one. And I think you might not be that surprised by these numbers. We have Tuesday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday is kind of the most popular for class days. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday is, kind of part of the weekend, might be a little less popular. There might be other events and things going on that you don't want to compete with. So it makes sense that, we're kind of looking at the middle of the week, the beginning of the week as popular for scheduling. So that's when people are usually setting up their schedule, we see a lot of these days on the schedule. However, that might not be representative of the most attendances on certain class days. So what's actually most popular in terms of attendance on which days? And so it's slightly different here. We've got Tuesday and Wednesday a little bit flipped. So Wednesday, most attended class day. Tuesday, Monday, Thursday. So again, we're looking at the main, work week and not so much on the weekends. Those are a little lighter. And so that might be something that you want to, think about for your scheduling. Do you line up with these days, or are you, mostly focused on weekends? This might be something that kind of gives you an idea of what other people are doing or what might be popular amongst customers. And then what I think is really interesting is that when we looked into the highest revenue class days, things started to look a little bit different. So Sunday, which was almost the end in terms of popularity for attendances and for number of classes on the day, it's actually the highest revenue class day. And I think, and our team kind of thinks we have a pretty good explanation for why that is. We believe that's because that day is maybe most popular when it comes to some higher priced events, things like workshops, special guest instructors, retreats. A lot of that might be happening more on Sundays because they are, beginning of the week or end of the weekend. They're maybe not competing with as much as a Saturday event, might be more popular as the result. And then, of course, usually ends up being a higher price for something that's a bigger or special event. But then you get back into it and things look a little bit more similar in terms of revenue: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, especially Tuesday, Thursday. But Monday's a little bit lower. So, Monday's been a popular attendance and a popular class time day, but, that Tuesday, Thursday revenue potentials is interesting. And possibly that might be related to some other higher priced events, like a series might be taking place. Every Tuesday, Thursday this month is our, special series. And that might be like convenient class times, kind of easy in the schedule, and maybe bring in a little higher revenue. So kind of interesting. There's a lot of different things that could explain it, but we have sort of some feelings about how Sunday ended up getting up there in terms of revenue. And it might be something that you want to think about next time you're scheduling an event. And then we also looked at days that customers actually make their reservations. So not the day of the class, but the day that they say, yes, I'm going to that class. I'm going to go to a class. And very heavy in the beginning of the week. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is really where people are actually scheduling, which makes sense when you think about it. It's the start of the week. And I go, yay, I want to look at the week ahead. I want to figure out what I'm doing. I want to schedule my week out. I want to make sure I'm booked into those classes I want to take. So those tend to be the most popular. And this, in terms of behavior and what you might want to take away from this, might be something on the lines of, if you're announcing an event or announcing a class or promoting something or sending out a newsletter, we might want to think about looking at Monday, Tuesday, Sunday as a better potential for sending out those emails and letting people know about that, because people seem like they're more likely to book into a class around those days as opposed to the end of the week. So kind of fun, interesting, kind of potential to give us some ideas about what we might want to do in terms of promoting our classes and interacting with our customers. So now I wanted to get into some top fives here. So there are a lot of settings where it's not just, turn it on or turn it off, but we get to select something. We get to say, I want to use this, and how do I want to use it? So let's take a look at some popular setting choices in that world. So the first one we're going to look at is class length in minutes. So a lot of these numbers I don't think are going to be that surprising. I think a lot of people are thinking about classes in terms of 1 hour, 2 hours, an hour and a half, hour 15, and then 45. So we're looking at kind of like rounded time numbers. Those seem to be the most popular, most consistent. You'll also notice that a lot of things that are Punchpass defaults tend to be the first and most popular option. So 60 minutes, 1 hour is our default. And that is likely going to kind of explain why that's at the top. But these seem to be the most popular offerings amongst Punchpass users. Now, in terms of class attendance limits, we thought that would be kind of interesting to see what people are kind of restricting in terms of who can attend the class, how many people. So number one option is none. That is the default on the system is not to set a limit. So you do have to go in and adjust that, which might explain why a lot of classes get created and maybe people don't go in and adjust the default. So could be from that, could also be explained by a lot of online classes. Your online classes, you might say, hey, as many people want to join on Zoom as possible, more than welcome. So they don't need a restriction. And then, once we actually start seeing restrictions, we're looking at 10 is the most popular, 12, a little bit larger here, 20, and then 15. So this kind of lets us know that's probably about the size and capacity that a lot of Punchpass users can support. Or, maybe it's not a space thing. It could also be what's an instructor feel comfortable with handling in a group fitness class. So they might be more comfortable with, keeping it 20 and under to just feel like they can teach that many people without having it become too impersonal. Definitely a possibility here, but these are, definitely the most popular. Then we want wanted to take a look at cancellation windows, because these are something that a lot of people actually, when they're starting their business, reach out to Punchpass about and say, I don't know what I should do. Your default is 24, full day, but is that too restrictive? Is it not restrictive enough? And a lot of times, when we're talking through it, our answer is, well, everyone's really different. And I think the top 5 really help explain that for us because, again, our default is 24 hours. So that's going to be most popular. But then the next most popular is 0. So let people cancel up until the class time. It's a very flexible kind of arrangement there, followed by 1 hour. So 1 hour, maybe gives the instructor enough time to just know that they're not going to be showing. Maybe it's enough time for somebody to jump off the wait list, but that feels a little less likely. 12 is actually, funnily enough, is the same cancellation window hour at a studio where I teach. And, that's to give plenty of time to let waitlist people get into the class. And that's definitely, if you're having similar to 24 hours, if you have some of more tighter restrictions, you have a lot of people ending up on a wait list, those end up being fairly popular. Because again, you don't want to lose out on potential business with people canceling right before, and you have a lot of people on the wait list. And then 2 hours. So that gives you a little bit more time, a little bit more heads up. If the instructor, it really depends on having a certain number of people in the class, gives like enough time to know how many people to expect maybe before going over to the studio. So, we've got a pretty wide range here, and it seems pretty normal in terms of what we're hearing and what we see on the support side of things at Punchpass. So not really surprising, but there does seem to be kind of 2 sides to that cancellation window story. You're either rather restricted or pretty open. Now, in terms of days out to book, how far in advance do people want to allow customers to make reservations? We get this question quite a bit as well. We have it, default is 120 days, which is, again, why it's probably the most popular. We'll always go in and adjust. They like the defaults. And then we bring it down quite a bit, 30 days out. So people allow booking about a month in advance, which feels about right. We like when the numbers kind of feel like they fit what we're hearing a lot from our clients. 365, so a year in advance, totally comfortable with that. Again, people who might not have customers scrambling and fighting to get into a class might want to keep it more open, just let people do a little bit more further out. 60 days, so a little bit like 2 months kind of about, and then 14 days or 2 weeks. So that's probably covering more of our, people who are either like launching classes on a more weekly or biweekly basis, or possibly also covering people who, are, it's tight space and they have a lot of interest, and it feels a little bit more fair to kind of not let someone just jump in and book, but, hey, every 2 weeks, you'll be able to kind of book them further in advance. So now I want to take a look at some customer behavior, because some of the things that we can pull in terms of Punchpass data can help us sort of understand, what's common or what to expect from customers who are using the system. And this is your customers, what they might be getting up to. So again, we mentioned this earlier, that we're kind of seeing about 8 customers in an average group class. It's pretty normal on the Punchpass scale. And then in total, we're seeing like the average customer attends 12 classes. So when you have somebody sign up who's checking out your system, checking out, what you have to offer in your classes, you might be able to expect somewhere around 12 classes from them. And we thought it was really interesting to run another number here, which is looking at trusted access customers. So trusted access is a feature that you can turn on in a specific customer account, and it basically gives them sort of carte blanche for reservations. Now, we usually don't recommend giving this to everyone because it gives a lot of leeway in terms of booking. However, we kind of built it as a way for you to give your regulars or people that you know really well and you feel comfortable are going to pay and are going to be upfront about how they're interacting with your business. Give them a little VIP treatment. Yeah, you can, don't worry about it. We make sure maybe you give them standing reservations and give them trusted access to book more. And this might be because they attend a lot more classes. So that definitely tells me that Punchpass users who are using the trusted access feature are giving it to the right people. They're giving it to the regulars who take more classes. We don't necessarily know if giving people trusted access makes them want to take more classes. But for the people who might be hovering on the edge of fairly regular, maybe giving them that special VIP access is going to make them feel a little good and say, yeah, awesome. I'm maybe feel a little bit more loyal to your brand and to your business. So something to consider. And in the past year, what we've seen is, the average customer has made 17 reservations and attended 15 classes. So plenty of leeway in terms of people making reservations and canceling. We know that does happen. It seems to be pretty normal, but also, not huge, vast amounts of cancellations. Generally, they're attending a lot of the classes that they're booking, which is fantastic. Again, exceptions, of course, to every rule. And these are just sort of averages that we're looking at, but it's kind of cool to see where we're at, especially, in the past year, an average customer attends 15 classes, just considerably better than just the average customer overall. So maybe things are feeling a little bit more exciting in the group class world. So kind of nice to just get a little snapshot on what customers who are taking classes are doing. So now we ran a webinar on passes and pricing last month, but we wanted to go over some of those figures again, make sure, because obviously there's a big part of Punchpass data and what people are doing in the system that is tied around passes and tied around receiving payment. So taking a look about what people are offering, the vast majority of passes that are punch cards in the system are 1 credit punch cards. So we're looking at like a 1 class pass. And we're not surprised by this. We know that a lot of people are offering like a free drop-in, maybe for first class free. They might be offering different price drop-ins for different types of classes or workshops. So they just need to make those at a greater volume. And then the next most popular pass types are 10 credit passes and 5 credit passes, which feels pretty solid from what we know, anecdotally from working with people using our system, but definitely interesting to know kind of in general what people are doing, and maybe something to compare for your own setup. In terms of pricing, we're going to look at 1 credit, 5 credit, and 10 credit passes here. So not super surprised by 0 being the most popular. We know a lot of people like to offer a first class free situation, and that's an easy way to do it. So we think that probably explains why that's the most popular. And then we're seeing some pretty round numbers here, 10, 15, 20, 25, pretty standard, fits in along the lines of a lot of our pricing data that we have in the industry. And then we're going to look out at a 5 credit pass. Generally, these are going to be priced so that the price of the pass on a per class basis works out to be a bit of a deal. So people want to buy a little bit more. And that's where we're seeing, again, very similar numbers. Usually, again, this would be a little bit different when we're looking at a specific account. Generally, we see 1 credit's most expensive, 5 credits and per class is a little bit less. And then 10 credits would be even a little bit under that. But we're still seeing a lot of the same numbers, very similar. I do think that the 12 is interesting, that it shows up in 5 and 10 credits. imagine that it's kind of a deal compared to maybe a $15 drop-in or a $15 5 credit, and then you get the $12 10 credits. I think people like to see some of those round numbers, easier to do some math with them, and it makes a little bit more sense. And then we're looking at some unlimited passes and what people are offering there. So in terms of most popular lengths of a class, we're going to see 3 are very similar. 1 month, 30 days, and 4 weeks, about the same. And then the other ones are, a never expires, which seems a little odd. Why would we give someone all access to all of our classes for as long as we're using it? Well, that is often something that people offer their instructors. So we think that's why that's pretty popular. And then expiring on a specific date if you're having a special event, a special program. Hey, July, all you can take classes. Here's that special price for unlimited, and create a pass for that. So another popular feature in terms of setting up passes. And then we wanted to look at pricing as well here. And we kind of took a look at that 1 month, 4 weeks, 30 days cohort of passes. And that's where we see, kind of a mix. Again, we're going to see zeros come up quite a bit, people offering special passes. And then $1 kind of fits in the same range. 50 and 40, kind of in the middle to low range there. And then 100 is, again, something that we see fairly often. So none of that comes off as too unusual for us. We like to see that in our data. Oh, I think we gave top 6, not just top 5, because 99 is pretty similar. I loved seeing a 99 on there. It's not quite 100. It's $99. Feels like a deal. So that is, what we're seeing in terms of popularity of setting up passes in the system. And then in terms of memberships, again, pretty popular feature if you're using the system to offer passes on a recurring time-based basis. And these are 62% unlimited. So most people are offering them on an unlimited basis as opposed to a punch card basis. And, you can see from this chart, but also wanted to demo and show you the top lengths that we see. So 1 month, 4 weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks, and 12 months. So again, we're seeing the 1 month, 30 days, 4 weeks kind of idea. And then, maybe on a more weekly or bi-weekly basis. And of course, an annual option can be pretty popular. Get paid all up front, not a bad deal. In terms of pricing, we wanted to look at that kind of 1 month feature as well. And you'll see pretty similar pricing to a pass for the same time frame that's unlimited. So 50, 100, 40, 60, 99. Again, that nice 99 sweet spot. I love it. So that is something that you might see, kind of around in the industry. That's something that we think feels about right for our Punchpass users, and looking at the data that we've seen. I think that, that feels about right for us and for small businesses who are using Punchpass. Now, when looking through some of this data, we noticed there's a couple features that, are a little newer and just didn't seem like they were, being used by the vast majority. It seemed like it was a smaller group of Punchpass accounts who had actually gone on and tried these out or decided to take a chance with some of these newer features. So we wanted to kind of give you a sense of those because maybe it's something you've overlooked. So the first thing we'll look at is automatic attendance. So we've added this feature a couple months back, and this means something you can turn on in your general settings. And what this does is if anyone is booked into a class, once the class time has started, anyone who's been booked is going to be marked as attended. So what that means is that you don't have to go in and manually mark attendance. The system's going to do it for you. Definitely a great situation if you don't get a lot of drop-ins. You just get to kind of be confident. Anyone who's booked in as a reservation, all set. Especially if you're going to charge for no shows anyway, mark them as attended. It still deducts a credit from their pass. And it's also a lot of people like this for online classes, or if they're using the class content feature to, the class is just a replay of a video. It's nice to just mark attendance. People have access to it, whether they take it or not. So that's something to check out or maybe consider. One thing I will always let people know is that you want to check on your reports a little bit more often when it comes to auto attendance, especially the no pass assigned attendance report, because automatic attendance works really great if you require an active pass to book. But if you ever have an instructor get a call or a text and someone says, oh, can I get into that class? And they manually add them, then there's a chance that something might get overlooked in terms of how many attendances they have, how many passes they have. So something to check out. Auto attendance is great if you let the system kind of work automatically. I'll let customers all book themselves. That's probably going to be a good feature for you. Another thing when we were looking into our passes that we noticed not a whole lot of accounts have actually explored is adding gift cards to their account. So what gift cards do is they allow you to set up a matching gift card for a pass you already offer. And when someone purchases the gift card, they'll get an email with a discount code to provide to their recipient so that the recipient can redeem it for a real pass. So that is, we've only been offering this since I think the last holiday season. So, we'll probably see more people explore that as we keep offering it. But something to consider. It's nice to give your community the option to offer fitness or offer classes and education as a gift to their friends and loved ones. Our appointments feature is a feature that is really great if you have offerings sort of outside your regular group classes. Personal training, physical therapy, massage appointments. Maybe it's offering an open gym time or open swim lanes, something along those lines. We've seen have been pretty popular, but it allows you to set up a schedule on your same URL that you use with Punchpass, the same way people access your regular group class schedule. You can also have your own sort of customizable schedule here with different offerings. So that could be something, if it might not work for everyone. It might not be something that everyone would want to support. But if you haven't been offering, those features and you're considering it, appointments might be a really nice fit to launch that for your business. And just a little small thing here, we've added the ability to add a picture or an avatar for your instructors so that on the schedule, their image will show up next to classes that they're teaching. And this is something you can set up under your instructors and users area within Punchpass. And we think it's kind of nice to kind of show off, who you'll be taking a class with. You'll see that their friendly face and know who it is. It might make it even easier to select which class you want to take. And it's also nice if you've never taken a class before to say, okay, I know who's going to be the teacher when I walk in the room. So that's kind of neat. We are going to be seeing some additional features coming out to kind of highlight instructors in the future. So something to look forward to down the road. A little sneak peek for my webinar people. So definitely something to consider, or some features that you might not have used. They're not overwhelmingly popular on the system, but we think it's possible that, they're newer features. They might not work for everybody, but they might be something that might work for your business, and you could check them out. Now, I wanted to let you know that if you are interested in learning more about people using Punchpass, who are other businesses? Who are your peers in this space? What are they offering? What are they doing? How have they handled some of the difficult things that they've been, that might have come their way through their business owning journey? We've all had kind of our ups and downs in the past couple of years. And I think that it's really amazing to get to listen to other people in our space talk about what they're doing, how they've found success, and how they've been managing and working with their business. So if you're interested in learning more about, learning about more people who are using the system, We would definitely recommend checking out our podcast. You can go to punchpass.com/podcast. It's called Good Moves. So you can also search for it on any podcast, any place that you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify. We also have it on YouTube if you want to check out the video podcast. So you can see Claire, our wonderful support team member, talk to people using Punchpass. And we have our first full season is out right now. We are actually reaching out and checking in to see if there's any interest in signing up to maybe be a guest on the pod. So I'm going to throw a little message in here to everyone. If you're interested in signing up for the podcast, we have a form you can fill out. We'll let you know. And it's a great opportunity to promote your business and talk about what you've been doing, because we know you all have such amazing stories to share with us. The numbers are really cool and the numbers are interesting and they tell us a little bit about you, but we really love to hear the actual stories of what people are working on and what's next for them in their journey, where they've come from, where they're going. So if you haven't checked out our podcast, highly recommend it. Claire's fantastic. And you'll get to hear from a lot of really cool people, and you might get more ideas about what you want to do with your business by listening to other people in the same space. So definitely something to check out if you're interested in more information. I also am going to throw this out to you and see if there's any questions about anything we've covered so far, anything maybe you think we might have missed, or information you'd love to know. We might not have it offhand, but we could probably get it to you. So if you want to just jump in the chat, let us know. And fantastic. This is also a lot of information. There's a lot of numbers, a lot of things to think about. So if you don't have a question right now, totally understand. You can always reach out to us. If you have any questions, you can send us an email, support@punchpass.com. Throw that in the chat as well. And you can also reach out to us from any Punchpass page. We'll have our chat box in the bottom right-hand corner. Send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. And you can also, if you are a Punchpass user, log into your home screen. Your home screen will have our chat box in the bottom right-hand corner as well. So you can always reach out to us with any questions, whether it's about your account or anything else that you're working on. Or if you have ideas for webinars, we always are looking for topics we think you'd find interesting or would love to know more about. So feel free to send us our way. Wonderful. Well, thank you as well. Got a lovely message in here. So thank you so much. And it seems like we might not have any questions, which is great. So thank you all so much for joining. We really appreciate you checking out our webinars. We love diving into the Punchpass user space and see what you all are working on. So thanks so much for checking it out, and be safe, be healthy, and we'll see you again next month.